Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Season 3 of The Boys, which is a show that I've had such a love-hate relationship with over the years, and I will definitely have to say that Season 3 is easily my favorite so far. And so I will be talking about spoilers for this season, so if you have not seen it, definitely go check it out. I finally can recommend this show. I think for the first season, I really liked the world that they created, and I liked the plot of the show essentially, but I really hated every single character on the show, especially Hughie. I hated Hughie in season 1, but I did like Billy Butcher. I think he was enough for me to watch the show and enjoy it. And then season 2 came around where I didn't really like the story, the direction of that season 1, because it felt very scattered, felt very disconnected, but the characters improved much more. I liked a lot of the smaller side characters more. I think Maeve had a lot more to do, Mother's Milk had a lot more to do, Frenchie had been consistent for the 2 seasons, and of course Hughie and Starlight were much better in season 2 than they were in season 1, in my opinion. And so I think in all aspects, this season has been firing on all cylinders and it has really impressed me. So let's just jump right into this, and I'll be mainly talking about the finale of the show and how these characters built up to the point that they were in the finale. And so of course I have to start with Homelander, which, when season 1 came out, I made the joke that Antony Starr as Homelander was basically a discount Chris Pine, and the guy who played the Deep was a discount Ryan Reynolds. And I said that about a lot of different actors in this show, that I said like each person was kind of a discount version of a more A-list actor elsewhere in the industry. And I can completely throw those statements out of the way because these performances from these actors are all incredible, and Antony Starr really is a star in this show. In terms of villains that I just love to hate, I think he is easily one of the best villains on TV right now, and in the past in general. He's one of the best on TV villains in a long time. And I actually did rewatch my review for season 2 because I usually don't go back and rewatch them, but I was curious what I thought about it in the moment. And one thing that I said was I didn't like how Stormfront kind of took over the spotlight for season 2, and it kind of took away from Homelander being the main villain of the show, because it became more of a thing where we need to get rid of Stormfront first because she's causing all these problems. And so now in this season, the whole point of it was, from the boys' perspective, was to kill Homelander, and they kind of had some inner debate on how they should go about doing this with Soldier Boy, and so there's some conflict within the team itself, but the goal always was the same, which was to take out Homelander. And all the while Homelander was on his own path throughout the entire season of finding out that he can be more like himself, the more sadistic and more evil and more terrifying version of himself in the public eye, and still get away with it, which is what I was wanting them to do after season 1. That's the direction that I thought they were going to go, and they didn't go in season 2, but this time just all bets are off. The video that they set up at the end of season 2 of the plane crash in season 1, that was a big thing hanging over Homelander's head, and this season he realized even if they uploaded it, he had so much over everybody's heads that it did not matter if they let that out. And even in the finale episode where Homelander, just completely murders this one guy that was against him politically, and everybody in the crowd just started cheering, I love how they're taking that, and they're kind of doing the satire on American politics right now, and I think that is perfectly well done in this show, and especially in this season. I think this season has really got the political satire and the references to our real world. They really nailed it down. So the new character in this season that kind of took the place of Stormfront in season 2, which was the new character that was introduced that's going to be really bad and be evil in certain ways, was Soldier Boy in this season, played by Jensen Ackles. Talk about perfect casting. He was brilliant in this show. I loved his personality. I loved how just messed up he was, and the things that he would say that was just completely out of context to today's time, since he is a man out of time. It made a lot more sense than Captain America. It's the more, I guess, gritty, realistic, and also kind of over the top, pointing towards the evil side of things. And I love how they went with his character in this, and it took a few twists and turns that I was not expecting. Of course, the power that he has to kind of vaporize the Compound V out of other characters was a very interesting plot point for his character to have, because that is very threatening to a lot of people in this show, especially to Homelander, because you strip away his power, he has nothing, because that is all he's ever based his entire life on, was having power over other people. So having this character go after him in this way and kind of building that up was really cool to see, because I was wondering if they were were going to go that route, but of course they're not going to wipe out Homelander in this season so far. But another great twist with his character was that, you know, all the stuff with Black Noir, with his group when he was in the 40s, you know, fighting the wars, and all those different things were really interesting. But the fact that he actually was Homelander's biological father because he was his sperm donor was very, very interesting. I really was not expecting that. They had the whole "I am your father" moments at the end of episode 7, which I really liked that direction. And the fact that he still didn't even care because he looked at Homelander and said, "You are still a disappointment." And that's another thing that I love about this season in particular was, I mean, the show has always done this. It took your expectations and it kind of pulled the rug out from under you. And I think it just was more effective in this season for whatever reason. I just think that every single time something was happening or something was being set up and they said, no, actually the exact opposite is actually what's going to happen to these characters, it was always entertaining to see. So when it comes to some of the other characters in the show, I actually really liked Starlight and Hughie's story in this show, which is mind-blowing to me because I did not like them in season 1 and I thought they were better in season 2, but they were really great in season 3. And I was worried for the first half of the season because it was another one of those things where it's, you know, they're all together, they're happy at the beginning, and then there's a conflict that kind of pulls them apart. But I really like this one and how it really did affect Hughie's arc throughout the entire season with the Temp V. I think Temp V was a great thing to introduce into the show. One, to see Butcher kind of deal with that power and trying to deal with the hypocrisy in getting that power and him hating Soup so much that he's willing to go in all the wrong directions to get the person that he wants to kill most. And that was really interesting, but I think Hughie's use of the Temp V was even more interesting because he took the Temp V behind Butcher's back, and then you also throw in the storyline where the Temp V is actually slowly killing the person who uses it, and so you have that whole storyline between Butcher and Hughie, and Butcher thinking that he reminds him so much of his brother, and that he can't let him die in the same way that he lets his brother die, or at least the fact that he blames himself for his brother's death. So all that stuff was interesting, but for Hughie's character being somebody without power and feeling like he's always been weak compared to Starlight and wanting to save her, I think that was an interesting route to go with his character, because I think anybody in that situation would feel, you know, underpowered or feel like he's not doing enough. And to have his character really dive into this addiction of this thing and trying so hard to save Starlight, only to realize that his power all along was to be supportive for Starlight. And I really like that arc and that storyline and that message that they're sending with this character, because strength doesn't come in the muscles that you have. No, the strength comes with whatever you're best at as a person. I really love the moment in the finale where Hughie, you know, he has the opportunity to take the Temp V, and I wish they took a beat longer before he decided to put it down, but I love the fact that he did put it down, that he did power up all the lights in the studio that kind of, you know, built up Starlight's power, and that was his power. I loved his speech with Starlight in this finale where he's talking about how, you know, he always thought his father was weak, but he was always there. He was always supporting Hughie through the worst points in both of their lives, but he was always there to support. So I really liked what they did with Hughie's character, and with Starlight's character, I also really liked what they did with her, because it was the separation from, you know, the dreams that she had in season 1 of being one of the 7. She got those dreams, realized that meeting her heroes was a bad idea, and realizing how bad everything was, and she's the only character in the show that's been consistently good and kind-hearted throughout the entire thing. She's one of the only characters that won't do an infuriating character decision that pisses me off, especially in season 1 and 2. Everybody always made stupid decisions that just really just got under my skin, and Starlight's been one of those characters who has not done that, and I really like that she stuck to her ground and refused at all costs to go a route that was not along her moral paths, even if it was, you know, pushing Hughie away, or if it was taking away opportunities that she did have that she could have used to take out Homelander. She always tried to go the right way. Mother's Milk also had a lot to do in this season. I liked his storyline and his conflict with Soldier Boy. I think all of that was really, really good. I love his backstory and his storyline with his daughter. I loved all that stuff because, of course, you have the stepfather who was basically the shoo-in for the Trump supporter who's kind of poisoning his children. And so I love that storyline. I also really love Black Noir in this season, and I think Black Noir has been a character that has been wasted throughout this entire series, and I love that we at least got his backstory, and he was, you know, in the group with Soldier Boy, and he had all that conflict in his episode where he kind of ran away, and he had all the little animated characters show his backstory. I really liked all of that, but I just wish that Black Noir got some sort of confrontation with Soldier Boy himself, because him dying from Homelander makes sense for Homelander's character because it was kind of his plea, like, okay, I killed Black Noir when Soldier Boy was going to kill him, and now, you know, you can trust me now. Now I'm kind of on the same path that you were. You know, Black Noir lied to me about, you know, him being his father and all these different things, but to kill Black Noir in this way, I think I was a little bit disappointed because I wanted some sort of fight in him because he was always underused. He had some great moments in season 2 in terms of some action sequences, in terms of him being kind of like a hitman from Homelander. I loved all that stuff, but he just really didn't get an ending that I thought was super, super satisfying in this season. A-Train also got a lot to do in this season as well. I actually really liked A-Train's story in this show because, for one, you know, the first season he had a lot to do because he was the one who killed Robin in the first season, and season 2 he definitely took a step back along with the Deep, and this season I really liked what they did with A-Train's character, with him and his brother, and with that one racist superhero guy that I don't remember his name, but I loved all that stuff, and him, you know, running with him and dragging his face along the concrete, and eventually his heart goes out, but he gets the heart of that racist asshole, and he's back to life, but his brother rejects him. All that stuff I think was very earned and very satisfying. I'm very curious to see where his character goes next because it really did feel like he's starting to realize that the path that he's chosen to always choose the side of Homelander might not be the right path. So I'm curious to see if he has a turn like Maeve had in this season. And then, of course, I just said her name. Maeve has consistently been, especially last season and this season, my favorite part of every single season. And she took a little backseat towards the middle of this season when she got kidnapped by Homelander, and I was really worried for her safety in that moment. But when we finally got her back in the past couple episodes, the way that they wrapped up her character was beautiful because her arc from the season 1, her very beginning of her being just so disheartened by everything that she saw and that she kind of gave up as a hero, to her learning how to be a hero again in season 2, to her actually doing the heroic things that she does in the finale of this, which is choosing, instead of, you know, killing Homelander, or at least continuing to fight Homelander, and she was really getting, you know, beaten up. You know, her eye was dug out by him. It was really brutal fight with Homelander. And again, talk about satisfying with her character arc of actually going against Homelander in that way. That was awesome to see. I really loved that battle, but to see her choose to go after Soldier Boy and to tackle him to get him out of the building to save all those lives, potentially risking her own, was so satisfying. And the boys continued to pull the rug out from under me because I was so convinced that she was going to die in this episode. I even saw her name trending on Twitter before I watched it, so I was like, okay, yep, Maeve is dead. But the show did something even more unexpected than the death of a character, which is a happy ending for a character. Like, I really hope that they never show Maeve again. I don't care. She had her happy ending, and for a character to have a happy ending in this show of all shows is kind of mind-blowing. She lost all her powers because, you know, Soldier Boy was able to vaporize all the V out of her body, and so she's going off with her girlfriend, living on a farm and hiding, and even Ashley had some great stuff in this moment, but I love that she was able to delete the footage of Maeve still being alive to hide that from Homelander. So there's no sense of her being alive from the perspective of Homelander, which I think she might actually be able to live a happily ever after. Maybe if any character deserves it, I think she does because she has been great throughout this entire thing. So in terms of negatives for this season, of course, I have a couple of character decisions that I just thought were incredibly stupid and annoying, and that would be Butcher telling Ryan that he never really cared for him and he walked away, and Ryan kind of goes down this path where he'd rather go with Homelander towards the finale of this season, and that was just heartbreaking to see at the beginning of the season because it was so frustrating. It's like, I really want to like you, Butcher, but you're doing these things that's just pissing me off. And we got to know his reasonings why, of how he kind of pushes people away, especially with his flashbacks in episode 7. So I guess it makes sense in the end, and seeing Ryan's face when he sees Homelander kill that guy at the end of the season and him kind of getting a grin on his face is terrifying. So I like that it kind of went in that direction by the end of the show, but in that moment I was like, characters make so much dumb decisions. And with KIMIKO and Frenchie, their storyline in this season, I really like KIMIKO and her journey of losing her powers and getting it back and having the choice to be able to do that. I really liked what that meant for KIMIKO's character, and I really liked the relationship. In terms of relationships in this show, KIMIKO and Frenchie is easily my favorite, even above Hughie and Starlight. I really like them together. The musical sequences were really fun to watch, but I really don't care about the storyline with Frenchie and Nina that was, dragged along from season 2 now into this one. I just simply don't care about that stuff. I don't know why, just that storyline just never worked for me in last season, and it just did not work for me at the beginning of this season, but they quickly moved away from that, and if anything, it really did service KIMIKO's character and that relationship with Frenchie, which I did enjoy. Alright, I think I covered everybody. I think I missed the Deep. The Deep storyline was always, I mean, he's been the punching bag of this show this entire time. He's been the butt of all the jokes, and I really liked his girlfriend in this season just being the smarter one and kind of manipulating him to get to where she wants to be. And then eventually when it got to the whole fish sex stuff, then she was finally out of there, and the book that she wrote that was just kind of the truth behind the Deep, all that stuff was just, it was kind of like a subplot behind a subplot behind a subplot that was kind of entertaining to see the Deep just be, again, the punching bag for Homelander. So there's some stuff in there that was just kind of interesting. Nothing too great to note, but overall my thoughts on this season are very positive, which is kind of a shock because of how much I just thought season 2 was fine and how much I hated everybody in season 1. This show has really become one of the best shows on TV. This and Stranger Things 4 blew me away this year. They're some of the best shows on TV right now, and I cannot wait to see where season 4 goes for this show, because Homelander is fully unleashed. He just killed some random guy that was against him and got cheers for it, so all the bets are off of him just, going after people that don't agree with him. What is going to happen with that? With the head popping Victoria Newman now getting even a higher point in political power of possibly being the vice president. And at the end of this show, the boys saying that she's next on the list to try to take out. I really hope that they kind of still focus on Homelander and he's kind of more the goal of the show, but now they're kind of setting up her to be the next big bad of next season that kind of takes place of Soldier Boy and of Stormfront. So I guess we'll see with that storyline. That one I'm cautiously optimistic because I did like what they did with Victoria Newman and this season with Gus from Breaking Bad. I liked all of that stuff. So overall, my enjoyment of this season was much higher, and I'm very excited to see where they go next with this show. So thanks everybody for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe to the channel to see more reviews just like this. Comment down below what you thought of The Boys Season 3, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hope to see you all in my next one.